clapping noise. Welcome everybody to Hypercast number 9.
Hi.
Love potion number 9. Oh wait, no. Hypercast number 9. Whoops.
Good throwback lyrical reference. You're now in the studio with Jack Renard.
Josh Moeller. Lee Griffin.
Amber Moeller. And...
Currently Steve the Fan.
For now.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah.
What's going to happen to Steve the Fan? Oh, we're building suspense.
Let's find out
later.
later.
There's going to be a twist ending to this podcast.
Oh, it's nothing bad.
We can't make that promise.
That's right. We have M. Night Shyamalan.
M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong. That's my name too.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Jingle.
We've got a lot of singing going on and we're not even 3 minutes in yet.
I know, and the funny thing is Neil's not doing any of the singing. It's all been...
Oh, there we go. That's 3 of them.
Here's a spoiler. Steve's already dead.
Oh,
Neil.
man, that's a downer for this podcast.
Yeah.
We do actually have an interesting show lined up for you guys today. It's kind
As
of...
opposed to our normal dull.
Yeah, I mean, you know we like to shoot from the hip, and this is probably our least scripted Hypercast yet, so we apologize for that.
No, it's still better than the first one.
Probably so, but we are making it up with a really cool, really educational, informative guest star or guest victim today in the form of Daniel Camak. And he is a local independent film director. He is actually in the process of wrapping up a film called Jared's Attic. It's a nice psychological thriller.
Yeah. Actually, Amber is in this film.
Yay.
And that's kind of how we met Daniel.
Spoiler alert, she's the thriller.
Oh yeah.
I knew it was coming. This isn't. If you could see us throwing our little zombie hands up right now. But yeah, we're also going to give you an update, of course, on where all of our current productions are.
Or not.
Yeah, to be fair, we've kind of fallen behind on our production schedule. We'll explain why in a little bit, but...
Again.
Yeah, I know. It seems like every Hypercast, I'm like, hey, we fall behind our production schedule. Here's why.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
okay.
the
We're going to
truth
tell you
is-
this time how we're fixing it.
Well, the truth is this. You know, we don't have an actual policy at Broad Spectrum Studios for
Anything.
use of drugs and alcohol, and our main video editor has become a raging alcoholic, and has therefore not been able to keep on his production schedule. Mm-hmm. Isn't that right, Jack?
No, I just do lines of coke off of hookers in the subway station.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
How's that working out for you?
I was promised coke on tits.
Oh, pretty good. I'm good, man. I'm good. What's up?
Your complexion is great.
Oh, I know. Yeah, so good. Yeah,
Where are all your
guys?
teeth?
We gotta finish this podcast. I gotta be somewhere.
Are you?
You do that so well.
Is that a rash? There's something red on your neck. What is that?
Don't worry about that right now. We're going to move on to our mailbag as well in this podcast, and then we're going to finish up with an advice column this week that we really did pull out of our asses. So,
Yeah, I'm cleaning it off right now.
who are we kidding? We always do that every week, you know? Because it's pretty much every week we sit down for scripting out the Hypercast. Scripting.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, how can we say the same thing we've said for the last 9 episodes in a slightly different way? So,
I know. We'll say it in funny voices.
actually, guys,
I
that
use the
is...
stupidest voice of all. My
your own. But no, that actually is coming down the pipeline. We've really been toying around the idea of doing, since most of what we do is dubs and voice acting, actually doing an entire Hypercast, acting out very specific characters that you may be familiar with, that you all know and love.
Ah, you ruined that. That'll have to get cut.
No,
we should just do it.
It's
No-
suspense.
Why don't you just shut up now?
No, now she ruined it because she actually used the voice. You don't know what I'm going to use. I mean, hey y'all. Stop.
I want to eat them with my little mouth.
That gives me a delicious idea. Alright, but moving on. So, first we're going to go ahead and get the spoiler out of the way with regards to Steve the Fan.
What is it? I have to know.
Gosh. Oh my gosh.
What's this? The
Steven
in the studio.
What's this?
There's something new.
You're a songwriter and you can't rhyme?
Not that fast. I'm not a freestyle rapper, yo.
What about nothing special?
He wrote that out.
Yeah, actually,
true.
one of the biggest forms of angst for Neil comes in the form that, he spends hours, days, and weeks of his life composing and just agonizing over the records and compositions and songs that he writes, and he puts so much time, so much effort, so much love into all his songs. And people are like, yeah, that's cool. And he's like, well, we buy a CD? And they're like, no, that's cool. But when he breaks up with his girlfriend and he writes a quick little 1 minute, like just take him 20 minutes to lay down a track, little ditty about it, everybody loves it. They're like, oh my god, that's the best thing ever. That should be on the radio.
Right?
So, yeah.
If we rock it into stardom, you know who's...
Come on, you know...
Feet to kiss.
Yes.
That is true.
Taylor Swift made a career out of that.
Kissing feet?
No.
She kisses other things.
All right, so back to the Steve the Fan.
Oh, are you still here, Steve the Fan?
He's waking up.
Oh.
Dead.
Oh.
Waking up dead, apparently, yes.
Oh.
Alrighty, we have Steve the Fan's promotion.
He's getting promoted?
He's promoted.
What has he done to earn that?
Nothing.
So, does this mean that Steve the Fan is no longer Steve the Fan?
He is now Steve
the
the
Intern.
Now you get more responsibility and less appreciation. That's how it works here.
Congratulations, Steve the Intern.
And still no money. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, when I make
Congratulations,
money,
Steve.
you'll make money.
Welcome to the team.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Clapping, clapping, clapping.
Clapping noises.
Clapping noise.
Don't
No,
clap,
don't
don't
clap.
clap.
Beating
Look
the
what you're
mic.
doing.
I will so demote you.
My God, circus seals all up in the studio.
Steve the Intern has been demoted.
Steve the Fan.
Steve is suspended without leave. And without pay.
That's right.
He didn't get paid to begin with. I like without leave. Alrighty, so we have Steve the Intern now.
Yeah, we actually decided to promote Steve the Fan to Steve the Intern because he is actually working with us now. He's actually doing a lot of cool stuff with us. You guys have seen some of that already in the form of the 50 Grades of 50 Grades of Shay video. That was the brainchild of him and our very own Amber Moeller. And then his very own skit, which was "This is gonna be fun," where he
It's
shot.
gonna be fun. Episode 1.
Yeah, he's gonna shot.
Don't ruin it. Put a link.
Okay. If you want to see our stupid voice guy in pain, you want to hear what he sounds like with something sticking out of him.
That's not an alien.
Then check out the "It's Gonna Be Fun" episode. But yeah, because Steve the Intern is now helping us out and actually providing content for us, we actually decided to promote him and make him actually part of Broadspectrum Studios. So, congratulations, Steve. How do you feel about this?
I feel quite pleased.
Yeah.
Get your dick out of the mayonnaise jar and then tell us how you really feel.
I've been working towards this a long time. It feels good.
There we go.
Tell us, Steve the Intern, has this been a pleasurable experience for you?
Oh yes, this pleases me.
Not all the time.
At
Most of the time.
Yes, most of the time.
Speaking of unpleasurable experiences, how's Tanglewild coming, Neil?
That's none of your damn business.
But people really want to know because there's been some crazy
Do they?
teasers popping up on our website. And
that's
people
right.
Are really curious about what's going on here.
Air of mystery is fogging through the air.
So is fogging a verb now? Is that like?
It might be.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. I go fogging every day. Keeps me, keeps me in shape.
Dictionary.
Yeah.
I go fogging right after I go clopping.
It's actually going quite well. I'm actually on track, as opposed to a lot of the other stuff I've done. I'm actually on track because I've got everybody else holding me accountable for this one.
That's right. Feet to the fire,
Yeah.
man.
Because I need them for it. So I've got to have them and have everything structured and ready to go, or else it's not going to happen. The release date is still October 1st. It'll be available on my website and on Amazon.com, and hopefully a slew of others. Tanglewild is a musical endeavor. Ooh. Yeah. It is a journey through these enchanted woods that we meet all these characters from folklore, here and there, that all sort of convene in these woods to facilitate each other's life in Tanglewild. Like, there's a scarecrow that we meet. We actually in this record, learn why we now use a jack-o'-lantern on Halloween and how that came to be.
Ooh.
And I touch on the Salem witch trials a little bit. And it's a linear narrative, much like Scarlet. So if you like Scarlet, I'm sure this would be up your alley too. It's a little more rustic than Scarlet was. It's very acoustic, yet still with the dark orchestras and very sort of gothic undertones. It's not metal.
Aww.
Right.
Poor Neil. He still doesn't know what genre he is.
I've said this every Hypercast. Everybody thinks I'm metal. And I don't know if that's because of guilty.
Maybe.
Is it because you sacrifice rams in the name of Satan every morning? I mean, like...
You don't do it at morning, you do it at midnight.
Oh.
Yeah. Don't you?
I noticed I
Whichever-
slipped on something when I came in here.
At exactly noon.
Satan.
Well, it's probably midnight in like Australia or something. You know, you can sacrifice all the lambs you want, man.
It's midnight. It's the witching hour somewhere.
That's right.
So it's going to be out October 1st. Look for it. It's going to be awesome. We're going to be going around anywhere we can find to promote this.
Oh, yeah.
Open mics, venues, to really promote this live.
Super. Looking forward to it. All right.
Good. We're going to make up some flyers. We're going to be downtown. We'll be stapling it to billboards, stapling it to
faces.
Yep. Okay, you guys cut me out there. That was a good goal.
You're just going to say something stupid anyway.
Yeah, we
Probably
know.
so, yeah.
So, in addition to Tangle Wild, waiting to use just in time for Halloween, we also have launched a new show since our last
Doing that
Hypercast.
so Athy doesn't
Have we?
Yes, I'm super
I
excited.
wonder what it could be.
It was our return to Metal Gear. It was Last Days of Foxhound.
Oh,
Yeah.
Gear.
Gear.
Metal Gear.
Metal Gear.
You're peeking the mic. Shut up.
I can't stand you.
No,
I love the new Metal Gear.
you should do that. You should have like a subliminal advertising message as Psychomantis to everyone. Buy my CD. Click like. Subscribe to our channel.
There's like a static in the middle of the hyperdub and it starts the Manus theme.
Yes. But no, we are actually reprising our characters in The Last Days of Foxhound, new comic dub. As many of you guys have already noticed, it is very different in tone and flavor and just about everything from the Heim Daisy comics.
Yep.
Slightly, yeah.
And the art style, we've seen comments about the art style. And going back to that, you know, anybody that's following us knows that most of the stuff that we do, we actually dub someone else's work. We are not in control of the art style on these. So, yes, the art style isn't the same as Hyam Daisy's because Hyam Daisy didn't do it. Yeah.
Right. And as some other people mentioned, it is kind of an acquired taste for the first couple of issues, but
Yeah, it starts out kind of slow, but it gets funny fast.
it gets funny, and more than funny, like it gets genuinely entertaining. Like there's actually, plot and intrigue that goes on later on, and eventually you start, you're reading it for the jokes, but you're also reading it just to find out more of the story, because this guy really spent a lot of effort, Chris Doucette, into developing an awesome and very intricate narrative that very closely parallels the actual games.
People don't read anymore. That's why we do the dubs.
That's true. But don't worry, we still do have Flintlock and Gunner Creek in production. Those are still running. New episodes of that will be coming out shortly. But we are very excited to see that Foxhound has gotten such a great
Absolutely.
reception so far.
And by shortly, we mean probably this year.
Yeah.
Probably, I make no promises. Like,
And even that's a stretch.
yeah, I mean, we'll see Ghostbusters 3 before we see Gunner Creek 6. All right, so how about we move on to our mailbag, guys? Amber, why don't you take us to our mailbag?
Okay, it's mailbag time.
Wow, you haven't listened to our last Hypercast in a while.
No, yeah.
It's time for the...
Mailbag.
Yeah.
There you go, that's better.
Once again, we will start off with Revenger.
We love you, buddy.
Revenger the Fan.
You've been promoted to Revenger
Yeah,
the
now that
Fan.
Steve's the intern.
Let's get the
Man.
intro, Revenger the Fan.
Avenger, do me proud.
The Revenger says,
Read it seductively.
The Revenger says.
Is he the Revenger now? Like the Batman?
I guess.
Like,
Yes.
Maybe.
the goddamn Revenger!
Revenger 21 fan.
The only piece of complaint that I've got of your show is only one, and that has to do with inconsistency in upload time. I don't want to be mean, but it is really evident, and personally, I believe is the reason why you lack a larger fan base that follows you more regularly on every video that you pull out. Other than Metal Gear.
I can't believe you just did that.
You're not done.
That the lack of set time upload, like the old, quote, new show every Saturday, unquote, is what hammers down your progress. If you fix that and update your shows more regularly and on a set time frame, I'm fairly positive more fans will start turning up in more videos rather than just Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear!
Oh, that's my Metal Gear face.
Metal Gear face! Oh, brother!
Wiggle, wiggle!
Wow, that was very nice, Amber. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But no,
We might
Revenger,
get flagged for that.
you are actually dead right. Like, no, it's very true. Like, we've noticed that ourselves. So we have had a problem with keeping our schedule uploaded, and that's really strictly my fault. Amber, why don't you tell us what we're going to do differently to make sure that doesn't happen?
They promoted me to production manager.
I'm going to stop sucking. I'm going to actually sit down and start editing things, because that is a real priority for us, is getting back on a regular upload schedule.
So what production manager means is I am the only female in a group of guys, and I now hold their balls. So if they want to get
the
them back,
You
they're good.
She's got some big hands, guys.
No.
So what she's saying is Jack is going to stop sucking and start taking up the ass, so that way he can actually work on things.
What is with the sexual innuendo in this episode?
You started this,
Like,
man.
I did not start this.
Oh,
she
yes,
started
Your wife
No.
started it.
Oh, my wife.
Somebody told me to read that seductively.
That's
Hey,
not what
Neil
I...
started it, actually.
Yeah, okay.
We have you to blame for this.
No, so anyway, production management, all that really means is that I'm going to be the one talking to people and setting down the schedule and making sure that things are happening on a time frame that is consistent and does keep things looking the way that our fans are expecting them to look.
Yeah, so we will get back on that upload, new show every Saturday and stuff, new show every once in a while, business model. But thank you very much for that kind of feedback. That is exactly what we need to hear. Like I've said this many times before, but I love fans that are like, oh, we love your work, and that makes me feel really good. That gives me a lot of motivation to keep on going. But comments like that about, specific things that we can do to improve are great, So I'm really glad to hear that. And I'm really glad to hear that we have fans that, want to see these consistent uploads.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me, but somebody asked about, when's the next episode of Flintlock coming, and when we were sitting here debating whether or not it was something we were going to continue for a little while, but we got that comment, hey, when's it coming? And we got fans that are following things we didn't think people were following, so
Right.
it's still in the box,
One, you cut a hole in the box.
Two,
you put a dub in that box.
So Significant Power says on the Foxhound 2 premiere, 500 pages long? Yep, this might take a while. But if anyone hasn't read the comic yet, set aside a weekend if you can do it. It's hilarious, and it melds with the canon so well it's scary, especially when you realize it started before 3 came out and finished just before 4 was released.
So yeah, 500 pages. It is long.
Yep, and it's going to take us even longer because we don't have a schedule.
I thought we just addressed that. But no, it is a very long comic, but we do plan on doubling that to completion. A lot of people have asked about that. Oh, keep it up. Are you going to keep on doing it? They didn't know if the premiere was just a one-shot thing.
Yeah.
But no, we are still doing that. That's actually, we're recording some lunch for that today, in fact.
Yep.
So, we are still planning on doing that. And Amber's going to handle this because she's got the production schedule, but there may be some shifts in the way that we upload. We may either take a hiatus from some of our less popular shows to get more Foxhound out, or we may try to get more than a once a week upload. We may try to do a couple things in a week, but first let's at least get back to the weekly uploads, and then we'll play our schedule from there.
Yeah.
But So far, of all the new shows that we've launched this year, between Gunner Creek and Flintlock and Foxhound, Foxhound has proven to be the most popular, and we definitely are listening to fan feedback, and we want to give you guys more of what you want to see. So you will see a lot more of Foxhound in the future.
Steve the fan, why don't you take this one?
Steve the intern.
Sorry, Steve
Steve the intern, your first action as an employee of this company.
Which one?
Whichever one you want, man.
Just one that's not been read already. Preferably.
He reads one in a sexy voice.
He reads
Steve,
Avengers again.
sultry voice this next
This
one,
is
come
the
on.
only piece of complaint.
Okay, Revenger210 said for the 50 Shades of Grey or Red or whatever it is called
Fuchsia.
now, raise his hand. Can I ask a question? Someone nods. BSS, why the name change?
Yeah, BSS. Why the name change?
Yeah, BSS. Why the name change?
Yeah, BSS,
Yeah,
why the name
BSS.
change?
Why the name change BSS?
Here at Broad Spectrum, we title things based on what we think people will search for. When that hasn't received the amount of views we are looking for, occasionally a name change on certain episodes will take place in the attempt to gain more views from outside of just our fan base.
So if you see a video titled Emma Watson Nipple Slip, that's why.
That's right.
And it has nothing to do with Emma Watson.
Yeah, well, it's going to be Neil
Or-
trying to sell an RCD and failing.
It'll be Neil trying to sell a CD with his own nipple slip.
Okay.
It's bringing in people that are actually searching for 50 Shades of Grey type fan productions, not necessarily, hey, Broad Spectrum fans looking for our newest production.
Shadow's Wrath, Let's Destroy the Shagohod says, clipped a certain scene from your video, Metal Gear Solid 3 parody, and want to make a video response to the main video. It's the part with the end boss battle. Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
By all means, take whatever you want. If you want to make a response or make a fan video of a fan video, by all means.
Yeah, we actually had that happen one time before where somebody actually animated a scene from, I think it was Fox Unit, when it flashes forward to Big Boss and his sons, and actually went and animated that as opposed as a video response. And we are flattered by that. We love that kind of thing. Someone else actually took our dub and synced it to the actual cinematics from the game.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And I love seeing that kind of stuff. Like, we really enjoy seeing that around here. So,
It means you like us.
yeah, by all means, take any of our content you see, put it on whatever you want, video you want. We are totally
Just
cool with
link
that.
it back to us so we can see it too.
That's the only thing. Is
As
we
long
like
as
to
we
see
get
it, we like
credited.
promoted it. Well, so, but yeah, go for it, everyone. So,
Cross promotion, we love it.
speaking of Foxhound and Metal Gear and such, Tackert on Foxhound 2 says, I do hope that they reprise the voice actors for the spoilers Metal Gear Solid 3 era characters. Big Boss when they show up. And I'm excited to say that Foxhound gives us a lot of opportunities to have a lot of fun with our voice work. As you can tell already, we've been trying to reprise our original roles. Although some people have noticed, like, Ocelot sounds a little different. Mostly just because I got manlier. But no, we do
Balls
try to.
finally dropped.
Yep. Out of Amber's hand.
I gave them back to Jack. He earned them. And then I took them away again.
I know, it's sad. But we do try to reprise our characters in that. We are introducing some new characters that have never been seen before in any of our Metal Gear dubs. We are reprising old roles. And we're playing with certain roles. Like, certain characters take on roles they haven't taken before. Like, Decoy Octopus does some interesting things. And as you mentioned, by the time we get to the MGS3 era, some interesting things start happening. So, we are collaborating with some other voice actors outside of Broad Spectrum Studios, like what we did for MGS3 and for Fox Unit. But in addition to bringing in new voice actors, we're hiring in the old ones, and we're just playing around, having a lot of fun with it. We really are looking forward to showing you guys what we can do.
From Witcheroo on Gunner Creek 5.
Oh, it's Witcheroo.
Oh,
Witcheroo.
whoops. Witcheroo. I like the way I said it better.
Maybe he does too.
On Gunner Creek 5. Great work as usual, like your dubs, but why did Gamma and Annie speak Russian?
While in the comic itself, you left the portion that she's
oh.
Polish.
Yeah. That was actually, she's... if you type in what she was supposed to say into a Google Internet Translator, those are the words that spit out.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Polish translation. When it is actually spoken, though, those words do not exist in Polish the same way they were meant to be translated.
hence the actual change in it. I consulted a native Polish speaker who gave me the pronunciations and the words I was actually supposed to be speaking to convey what the words were supposed to be.
I understand that this time there's kind of a communication breakdown somewhere, either with our consultant that we had or our own pronunciation, but ultimately we basically mangled it. So we do apologize for that, and we're actually excited that we have actual Polish speakers who read our comic and catch things like that. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for pointing that out.
Yeah.
But
So the truth is, we're American and we suck.
it is true. Like I'm ashamed to say, but in the future, we're gonna try to take less creative liberty with that. Like we were trying to kind of expand on Tom's vision right there and make it more authentic, I guess.
Yeah.
But in the future, we're more likely just to directly take whatever Tom leaves in, even if it's if there's
even if there's a problem with it,
Right.
like linguistically, if there's something that doesn't actually work, that's how it was written, so that's how it's going to be conveyed.
Right. I'm sorry, but we do try our best, and we do actually think it's really cool that we have an international viewership, and that's one of the awesome things about Gunner Pit Court is that it's got a big international fan base. So,
Yep. Especially in Rwanda.
actually, we had fans in Rwanda before we had fans in the U.S. I'm not sure how that happened.
Hey, fans are fans.
Yeah, I was
Doesn't matter.
anywhere. So,
They still don't buy your CDs.
I know that. Thank you for rubbing that in.
so good mailbag. Gonna go ahead and throw that in our filing system.
In the forest forgotten by time, deep in the woods down in your mind. Listen close for the story goes, the man stands alone with a silent soul. Through the ivy that break the light, tales of tall tale in the wild. Follow me down as we make our way through the gates of this haunted place. And in the angels come to carry you away, and the devil whispers in your ear to stay. And did you ever find inside what you're searching for tonight? When you're tangled in the wild. Forgotten by time, stained glass shadows light the vine. Listen close for the story goes, the man is known as Scarecrow. Scarecrow. And in the angels come to carry you away, and the devil whispers in your ear to stay. And did you ever find inside what you're searching for tonight? When you're tangled in the wild. Forgotten by time, deep in the woods down in your mind. A man stands alone to find himself in the moonlight as something else. And the angels come to carry you away, and the devil whispers in your ear to stay. And did you ever find inside what you're searching for tonight? When you're tangled in the wild. da da da. La da 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 da. La da da.
Up next is our interview with Daniel
Camak.
Camak.
Welcome to the studio.
All right, thanks for having me.
All right, on to our guest victim of the week. This is one that actually Amber set up for us. I'm very excited about it. He is a director, so that's something directly related to my field I'm very interested in. I'm very happy to have him on the show. So Amber, why don't you introduce our guest victim?
Actually, I'm going to let him introduce himself.
I'm Daniel Camak. I'm an indie filmmaker and currently working on a film called Jared's Attic. So, and actually, Amber is in that film as one of our lead roles. So,
How exciting! A little bit of a promotion here.
Oh, absolutely. So what inspired you to be a director or producer?
well, I used to watch a lot of great films growing up with my father, and somehow I feel like I've always had a passion for storytelling. I've kind of written various stories, both fictional and non-fictional, over the years, a couple of which have garnered awards and some I even got paid for, which is always a plus for, any writer.
Yeah.
But to me, filmmaking is the most prevalent form of storytelling today. I feel like there's truly not a more powerful artistic element, than the convergence of sound to the moving image. You add music to that mix, and there are some moments, if executed properly, that strike a chord of emotion, I feel like, inside of the audience that's really not matched in any other medium. But I guess to answer that question a bit more directly, I think it was really just something that was always there. I just kept watching films, reciting great lines, and suddenly decided, hey, this is something I want to do. It's your passion when you try to deny it, but then there's that little voice inside your head that won't shut up until you are back at it again. So,
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Now, you say that you watch a lot of films, so you're a pretty big film buff. What kind of directors have really influenced you? Like, what are some of your favorite movies and your favorite directors?
well, that list is pretty lengthy, but I'll try to narrow it down to just a few. I feel like each director has a different style and genre they are known for, so, therefore there are facets or, I guess, pieces of each director I feel like I can draw from. I would say one would have to be Stanley Kubrick, who's a pretty influential director. He was known, in my opinion, for not really sticking in one genre and simply experimenting with various genres as well as various shots. Such as like the Steadicam, reverse tracking shots, stuff like that. He even had one of the more famous match cuts in a 2001 Space Odyssey, where it's kind of like a connection between a primitive tool and a satellite in outer space. Of course, you can't leave out Alfred Hitchcock.
Naturally.
Yep. I feel like there were a lot of Hitchcockian techniques we at least tried to execute in Jared's Attic. One of the biggest, I would say, would be somewhat the idea of telling the story with the camera. Sometimes silence and visual imagery is really all you need in a way. So, I would say another one, as far as more modern directors or active filmmakers, I would say probably Christopher Nolan. I feel like his brand of storytelling in a non-linear fashion is a great way to tell a story, when it works that way.
Oh, you just made my day. Anybody that loves Christopher Nolan is a friend of mine.
Glad to hear it. And actually, there's an up-and-coming director that I've been following called Jeff, his name's Jeff Nichols, and they say he's the next Terrence Malick, which, kind of a vague comparison, but I feel like he's a Southern filmmaker who tells stories set in the South and kind of presents them in a very interesting kind of character-driven way without cliches or stereotypes. And then, of course, one other would be the Coen brothers, strong influence. Yep. I mean, even in Jared's Attic again, and we kind of used some of the ideas within their film Barton Fink to draw influence from Jared's Attic, or in that film rather. And I like their use of symbolism as well. So I could really, I guess, keep going on and on about this. Oh, one other thing, though, I would say is Charlie Kaufman, he's more of a screenwriter, but we actually pay homage to him in Jared's Attic. So when you watch the film, you'll see that. So
Now, building off that question about directors, when it comes to your particular style, do you try to hold towards that auteur kind of philosophy where all of your stories, all of your themes, all of your techniques tend to be revolving around a certain dimension? Or do you try to much more closely fit the Stanley Kubrick model and do something completely different with every film that you make?
To a certain degree, I would say a little bit of both to answer that question. I think that one of the things about being a growing artist is finding your style. So the only way to do that sometimes is to jump genres in a way. But at the same time, going back to essentially my main goals as a director, as far as style goes, would be symbolism for one. I like to try to use symbolism as often as I can. I feel like that's a very powerful storytelling technique that's sometimes underrated a lot of times in Hollywood pictures as well. So that, along with certain philosophical aspects as well. But to actually say that I try to invest in one genre, I couldn't honestly say yes to that.
Something I'm kind of curious about is, a lot of us watch movies to watch movies. It's just a form of entertainment. But in my personal opinion, or like my personal experience, I guess, when I was a kid, I used to watch a lot of professional wrestling. And then in my early or late teens, early 20s, I actually got an opportunity to actually train under somebody, and I was doing that for a little while. And I started noticing that I started watching wrestling differently. I wasn't watching it for that, for the show. I was watching it, breaking down a match and figuring out what was happening where and all that. And I just wondered if, as a director, does that influence the way you watch movies? Do you sit down and watch a movie for its pure entertainment value, or are you always looking at, oh, that's a cool camera trick, that's a neat angle, oh, that's something I can do there?
Well, honestly, I would say both. The intent of a film, in my opinion, is to be lost in the story. Everything else should really be secondary and effortless. I mean, the camera angles may be unique and experimental, avant-garde, if you will, at times, but they should never really exceed the audience's involvement in the story. So essentially, when I'm watching a film, I generally like to watch it to immerse myself in the story and let the film take me where it wants to. On the other hand, and to be kind of paradoxical in answering that statement, I do pick up on things more in film since actually working in the industry and having the experience of making a film. Even if I don't really try to, sometimes I'll notice, like, okay, they did a trombone shot here, or they did a dolly shot there. I'll sit and notice where the source of light's coming from in a particular scene. So I can say yes to that as well. I feel like, though, as a filmmaker, basically you can watch a film in two different ways. First as a student, especially if you're a filmmaker trying to study it, and then, of course, as an audience member, if you're just essentially trying to enjoy it and let the story kind of take you where it wants to. So it kind of depends on the circumstances, I guess.
Well, I was going to say, what's your biggest challenge of being a director?
Well, that's easy. Everything. The biggest challenge is being a director. You're kind of at the helm of every creative decision. It's truly a juggling act at times. You get asked thousands of questions that you should already know the answer to. You should really know your script from front to back. You not only have to deal with the talent and making sure they are delivering their lines, but also the crew or the DP with the lighting and camera setup, etc. And I would also add to that question that the old adage about attention to detail is exactly what that is. When you go back and look at the raw footage, and the little things that you didn't catch may pose a big problem and break essentially the verisimilitude of the story if the audience happens to notice them. I would say through all that chaos, though, out of all the things I said, the biggest challenge would be not to lose your vision. As the director, you have to see it all the way through creatively, in spite of those little technicalities and incessant amount of questions that, when you're trying to stay in the zone, but then of course, talent comes up and asks you something, or simply a PA asks you what you want to eat or whatever, you have to stay in the zone and not lose your initial intent. So
how would you say, when you set the tone for a movie as a director, that you accomplished your vision?
Well, I would say that, with acting, I guess you're referring to like, the acting or the visual shots or whatever. With acting, the single most important thing I think every actor needs to remember is, where am I coming from and where am I going? Given the fact that filmmaking is not theater and it's not made sequentially, it's important to remind your actors of these two things so they can assume their role every time. After each take, we may do something completely different. They have to stay within character. That's one important aspect of keeping the tone. Of course, it always helps to have, shots, set shots that you've taken as well as far as lighting goes. But I think the best way to accomplish your vision overall as a storyteller and a filmmaker is, for one thing, by storyboarding really helps out. And, of course, reverting back to your screenplay. Your screenplay is the blueprint of the whole thing. If you don't have a script nearby, you're completely lost. Same goes for shot composition with storyboards. It's insanely critical to really make a storyboard before even starting production. Those two things really help you remember your tone and bring you back to the story once again, I think. So,
we've asked a few questions about directing in general, but I know you're working on something right now. Maybe you'd like to talk a little bit about the production you're actually working on currently.
Yeah, can you give us a brief synopsis of Jared's Attic and why you chose to tell that story?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really about a writer who struggles with a severe case of writer's block while trying to write the one and only, or the sequel rather, to his one and only published novel, and all while trying to kind of discern reality from his own dark manifestations. That's pretty much our log line. To answer the question as to why I decided to write, or rather make this film, is, for one thing, I love metafictional stories, or I guess in this case, meta-film, essentially. Things like I drew influence from, Secret Window was another film that I watched that kind of heavily influenced this film as well. So really, it's just, and not to mention that I felt like the story would really work in a really good way. It's kind of a less is more situation. I mean, there's times where it's just, the cerebral happenings of what's going on in the mind of a writer. So in that respect, I felt like it could work, but also be kind of cerebral and surrealist, if you will, at times also. So that really more than anything made me want to make the film, and I felt like it was something that could be done on the budget that we had.
Speaking of the budget that you had, kind of curious, because we've talked to some other people, and they like the whole Kickstarter campaign. Is that something, like, is that an avenue you guys decided to go against? Or, because I'm not sure, I don't remember if you guys did a Kickstarter campaign or anything, or if you guys just kind of got together and said, this is what we have and this is what we're going to do it on. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about that, and maybe you could enlighten us as to if we wanted to break into this business, if you would even consider Kickstarter or other avenues to fund the project.
Absolutely. I mean, unfortunately, we didn't. By the time the film was in pre-production, we I had really no working knowledge at that point of Kickstarter. After that fact, we were kind of halfway into production, and then I found out about Kickstarter, and I really like the idea of it. I feel like that's probably the premier thing to do now as far as indie filmmaking is concerned, because really funding is always an issue, and that's really the biggest hindrance on any filmmaker. I feel like if they had the right funding, it really relies on their shoulders at that point, because there's really no excuses at that point. If they've got enough funding to do it, then it's really just, it comes down to the creativity and the the talent of the filmmaker itself. But I would definitely our intent, I guess, with Jared's Attic, and I guess this is everyone's intent that makes a film, is of course to get it shown. And then, if it, and to do it at the best of our abilities. I mean, I don't know if it's really going to go anywhere, but I mean, if it does, that's great. If not, I mean, we still made a film. And that's really the most important aspect of everything, of this, of the indie business rather. But, I would definitely consider Kickstarter in my next project, and hopefully, going back to what I was saying about Jared's Attic, though, once it gets shown, our intent, of course, is always to get funding on the next project. So I think that's really what every filmmaker, especially in the indie realm, works towards. So hopefully that answered that question.
Yeah, that was great.
Well, speaking of funding, you made a good point about trying to keep your vision as a director, and oftentimes on projects, usually the director's job really becomes one of reconciliation between your original vision and what resources you have available. And especially that's very true for indie filmmakers who have limited budgets. But it's also true as big productions as well. Like in Jaws, the reason why we don't see so much of the shark is because they couldn't get as much of the animatronics with the shark working properly as they would like. Akira Kurosawa and his movie Ran, he shot a very pivotal scene from a very specific angle. And when interviewed about why he chose that angle, it was simply because he had to choose that angle, because if he shot from anywhere else, you would see the Sony Corporation in the background. So with Jared's Attic, have you had any of these circumstances where you've had to alter your original vision or come to grips with some kind of modification to your vision in order to meet the resources and circumstances that you had available to you?
That's a great question, and yeah, I would say I would have to say yes to that completely. However, when I first started Jared's Attic in pre-production, one of the goals I had as a filmmaker that I learned that you just basically have to change that attitude is to not bend regardless of what the circumstances were. I wanted to try to stay as true to the script as possible, and in doing so, I had a lot of hardship as far as finding locations. I mean, that was really the biggest problem we probably ran into, the biggest roadblock, if you will, of finding the right location, because I was just determined. Of course, like I said, I drew influence from other films, and I had this, perfect location in mind just to film. And actually, we even found a location that was pretty close to that, but we had some complications with scheduling to get that location. But in all, we kind of made it work out of that, because I basically had to bend we had to make do with what we had. And really, I feel like that's the biggest or a very important lesson for a lot of indie filmmakers out there. You're basically a problem solver, and you're going to encounter a problem every time you go on set. And it's really, and even before you go on set, actually, you've already got to solve some of those before you even go out there, of course, and one being the locations. So, if something doesn't work, sometimes you have to actually rewrite the script, but you try to stay as true to the script as possible in doing so. So I would definitely say that yes to that, but I would also say that really my biggest roadblock throughout this project was finding that perfect location. Did we, to answer that, not necessarily, but at the same time, we made it work, and I feel like it's going to really work well in the final product.
And where did you film, Jared? Are you at liberty to tell us that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to give out any names or anything like that, of course, but we filmed it in a town called Mountville, which is ideal because in Jared's attic, it's alluded to that he inherited an older house. He lives by himself, and really the tone in general. And going kind of to add to that previous question and this one. One of the biggest things I think you have to find as far as set design is concerned in filmmaking is you can't, especially in indie filmmaking, great sets are found, not made. You can't sit there and build a set. You have to just find it. So that's kind of what we did, I think, and I think it kind of worked out. I think it kind of worked out pretty well. But yeah, to answer your question, yes, it was in a town called Mountville. And we found some houses around that area that were of the age we were looking for. And luckily enough, we found some homeowners who were willing to let us use them for the film.
So this is a question that's been on my mind. When do you expect it to be completed, and where can we see Jared's attic when it is completed?
Well, I expect it to be completed in, I would say, at least late October, possibly early November. Yeah, that's tentative right now. I'm the kind of, I guess, reverting back to that auteur word you used earlier, in the sense that I don't like to necessarily give a final date until I feel like that it's where we need it to be. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's probably going to be in late October, early November. As far as where it's going to be shown, it will be shown in the Greenwood area, for one. There's also a, which I'm not going to reveal any of that now. I'm actually hoping you guys can possibly put a link up on to the Facebook page, which will give you all those details. All those details will be in there, but it will be shown in Greenwood. And also, we have a theater that we're in talks with in a town in North Carolina as well. So those are two initial places. Given the fact that this is kind of a longer short, we'd like to try to submit it to film festivals locally. We're looking at the Atlanta Film Festival as one possibility, Charleston is another, and also there's a Charlotte Film Festival as well. So be on the lookout for that. Definitely in the upcoming end of the year to the beginning of next year, for that to be shown throughout those months.
Well, since we're on the subject of psychological thrillers and October releases, I'm not sure if you know this about us, but Broad Spectrum Studios is a big fan of Halloween. It's our favorite holiday. So can you tell us what your best Halloween costume was?
My best Halloween costume? Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. That's a good question. Well, I've had a lot of greats over the years. One of which I love playing the Joker one year, though. I actually got the voice down pretty good at one time. I can't claim to still have that voice down, but at the time after it came out, it was pretty good. And then I came as Gumby one year too, and it's kind of cool to always be in a costume where you don't have to show your face. I kind of like that. Yeah. Just remain anonymous, if you will. I
gotta remember that. I'll probably improve my dating life.
There you go.
So who's Pokey then? Did you have a Pokey?
There was no Pokey.
Oh no!
Jack, you like orange? You can go as Pokey.
I'll be Pokey. I like orange and horses. So.
There you go.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Daniel, for joining us on this episode of the Hypercast. We really appreciated your input and got a lot of great insight from you.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad to be here. Awesome.
This actually went pretty smooth.
Yeah, considering a storm and technical difficulties. This has probably been one of our better interviews.
Well, all we gotta do is get rid of that Neil guy and we're good to go.
Out in the field on a cloudy day, waiting for someone to come my way. Lonely days seem to stretch so long, but the voices in the rain will soon be gone. And now I'm calling out for a hand to hold as you listen for stories untold. I will walk along this gravel road, searching for the scarecrow. Have you seen the man who does not belong? Trying to find his way home. I am a stranger here in Potter's Field. Out in the field where the days stretch on, biding my time that seems so long. Lonely days come to wash away, voices in the rain that are here to stay. And now I'm calling out for a hand to hold as you listen for stories untold. I will walk along this gravel road, searching for the scarecrow. Have you seen the man who does not belong? Trying to find his way home. For I am a stranger here in Potter's Field. And are you calling now for a hand to hold as you listen for stories untold? I will walk along this gravel road, searching for the scarecrow. Have you seen the man who does not belong? Trying to find his way home. For I am a stranger here, lost and alone in Potter's Field.
And we're on our advice column for the week.
All right, everybody ready?
Yep. Let's sing along.
With Disney songs. Disney sing along. Oh, I hate that so much. Josh has this
Yet
thing.
you do it.
No, it's because it's like a mind sickness. Okay. Josh has this thing that anytime you ask, "Are you ready?" he has to go to sing along with Disney songs. Disney sing, and everyone
I was brainwashed as a kid.
in a
My sister,
5-yard radius has to do the same thing.
including Jack.
Yes.
Who hates it?
So when I was a kid, my youngest sister, that's all she freaking watched. It was that or Grease. So I took the
there's a big
Disney
difference.
sing-alongs over John Travolta.
He's got a couple of those, like, linguistic tics. Like, if you ever say exactly, he has to go.
Exactly. Well, it's precisely this. I'm tired of being only 3 inches high. After all, 3 inches is such a wretched height. I'm exactly 3 inches high. It is a very good height indeed.
Which, if you know, came from a Disney movie.
It was Alice.
But Alice in Wonderland's okay. Everybody likes Alice.
I like Alice.
So, we're alright with that.
Okay, so what is our general advice?
Ironically, It's about professionalism.
Is it?
That's
Yes.
crazy talk.
We should probably find some
Professional individuals. But no, in all seriousness, professionalism in the entertainment industry is still important. Because of new media and the way YouTube and lots of other content publishing services have kind of broken down a lot of industry barriers, it's very easy to just go full bore into the amateur side of things and completely forget about professionalism in regards to business contacts in regards to conducting yourself like a serious individual.
Yeah.
And as you guys know on the podcast, we cut up, we laugh, we have fun all the time.
Also, with the advancement in the technological advancements, it used to be if you had an interview or something, you needed to meet with somebody, there was a phone call to set up a meeting, and you did that. Now you can just shoot off a 3-word text message, and that's okay. Where it's not professional.
Right. So I do want to say that even though those barriers are coming down and like the whole business model for entertainment production and media is really changing, it's still important to know when and where you do still need to be professional. Specifically, there are still some hoops that you're just going to have to jump through. It's just kind of just the nature of the beast. You are going to need business cards. You are going to need a resume. And you need to make sure that those really reflect you at your best. You need to know how to talk to people. You can't always use slang. Sometimes you can laugh and cut up if you know somebody. But when you're going in for a job interview, when you're trying to get signed on to a movie, when you're trying to pitch a movie, whatever the case may be, you need to understand that formal rules do still apply. I mean, going back to specifics, because I really like action items that you can specifically do something instead of just saying, hey, be more professional. Business cards, very, very important. Please get business cards. Make sure they have your name on them. Make sure they have your number. Make sure they have your email, website if you have one. Something about your field or something interesting about you. It's a great way to start a conversation, an icebreaker, when you hand them a card and say, Jack Renard, Mass Media Arts. People are going to say, Mass Media Arts, what's that about? And they're like, oh man, I'm so happy to tell you. It's where I sit in front of a computer and I make silly videos and people pay me for it.
some kind of title or subtitle for your name.
Yes.
Going along with having your email address on there, you have to be professional in email format.
Ooh, good point.
Starting with their name, starting with their title, starting with who you are speaking with. Good day, good morning, hello, glad to see you, hope you're doing well.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Don't treat it like a text message.
No, an email is a very professional form of communication. Treat it as such.
Anyone listening to this podcast, do you have a Gmail account? And if you do, is it x910210 baby sleepy bunny bun at gmail.com? That's unacceptable. Get yourself a new Gmail account. Make sure it's something very simple, very easy to remember. But
preferably
use
your
your
name.
name. Yes. Neil Lee Griffin at gmail.com.
Moeller at gmail.com.
If it's taken, try putting them in front of each other. Griffin Neil at gmail.com.
Put a dot between them or an underscore.
Yes, but just your name, just something very clean cut and professional, so that no matter who you're sending that out to, you don't have to be like, oh, sorry, I was really into Hello Kitty when I made this email.
Yeah.
Going back, also, you've got your business card, you've got your phone number on there. Your voicemail box, it needs to be set up to take voicemails. It needs to have a professional greeting. This is who I am. But your voicemail box, first it needs to be set up to actually take mail. I can't stand calling somebody and this is the generic voicemail box of this phone number. Oh, and it's full. Can't receive messages at this time. No, put a personal greeting on there.
Yes.
Hi.
You've
You've reached Josh Moeller. I'm sorry I can't reach you right now, or I'm sorry I can't answer the phone right now. Please leave me your name, your number, and a brief message, and I will be happy to return your call as soon as I can.
Without a shot of a doubt, they know they have the right number.
Exactly, and be prompt. If they leave you a message, respond within 24 hours.
Yes.
Or change your greeting, letting them know that you were unavailable for said amount of time, and you will respond within this time frame.
Most phones actually have an option where you have a day-to-day voicemail, or you have a secondary voicemail you can send somebody to. If you are out of town and you do not you are not taking business calls, send it to that secondary voicemail that tells them when they can expect to hear back from you. Or listen to their message and respond back with a better time to actually discuss what it is you're looking for. The phone and emails are where it is at. That is the basic communication. People are looking for how good you sound, how professional you sound, how articulate are you.
Yeah. Also, with that being said, once you start handing out your business cards and people have your phone number and the phone calls come in and you look at your phone and you don't recognize the number, do not answer that phone if you cannot talk right now. That is unprofessional to answer the phone and be like, you're in the line at McDonald's ordering your milkshake. Hold on, let me get this right quick. Yeah, I want a, Oreo creamsicle, whatever. Oh, can I call you back in a minute? Don't even do that. If you can't talk right now, don't answer the phone. And when you can talk, you don't recognize the number, answer it professionally, not who is this,
Mm-hmm.
You won't.
Yo,
Exactly.
man, what up? Now, I do also want to say, I mentioned before about new media really kind of changing the dynamic and interacting with people. So, like, a lot of you might say, well, what about my Facebook? Professional hirers do look at Facebooks. That's not to say that you can't, have fun on Facebook and take pictures of yourself doing crazy stuff. But what I highly recommend you do is set up a separate account on Facebook for your professional contacts. Say, all right, so this is where I put all my professional contacts. This is where I put links to my portfolio. This is where I put new links to, hey guys, I just made this new video, or I just recorded this new song. Have that separate from your own personal page, so that when your aunt tags you in, a baby picture or whatever, that's not going to be coming up in employers' records when they ask to see a link to your own page and your own promotion. Okay, so have a separate account, keep them a separate account. You don't have to have a separate Facebook account. If you want to just make a LinkedIn profile, you can do that. But most employers at this point, especially in the entertainment field, are going to want to see that you have some kind of media experience. They're going to want to see links to your media network. And you need to have a professional looking network to send them to, not just pictures of you chugging beer. So,
well said.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, all in all, there is definitely times to be professional, and when you are professional, there are ways to do it. If you don't know how to be professional, look it up and be professional.
Well said. All right, moving on to our movie jargon for the week.
Our movie jargon, what is it today, Jack?
Well, attentive listeners during the interview with Daniel might have noticed that we brought up a word. It's a French word, so that we can sound fancy, called auteur. It's A-U-T-E-U-R.
Is that the guy from Assassin's Creed?
No, that's Altier.
No, it is not. Oh my god. Okay, guys. I have a cat,
really-
alright? I have a little white, fluffy cat. And he is super cool. He's the best cat ever. He has little hidden claws, that he uses to assassinate people. And, I like Assassin's Creed. And so I looked at him and I was like, he's a little white guy. He assassinates things, especially mice. So I'm going to name him after the main character of Assassin's Creed, which is Altair ibn Lahad. Okay, Altair. Most people can say Altair. Most people can say Altair. I'll take either of those. But for some reason, Amber just cannot say Altair. She has to say Altier, and I don't understand.
I like Altier.
It's
Really?
it's like bagel.
Altair.
Altier. That's how she says Altier.
It sounds
Just-
like a tiara, but
Just
better.
flip it. Just the I and the A. Just
Yeah.
other way. I and the A. I and the A. Altier.
Altier.
I know it. I like maybe if I say it as Altier, then she'll say it as Altair. But I digress.
Altier.
Auteur.
Auteur.
Auteur or auteurship actually refers to a theory about film criticism that developed in the 50s. Actually, the French really brought it about. Because up until that point, films have been a very commercial venture. You got producers, directors, writers, actors, technicians. You have a lot of people involved wearing many very different hats that go into the making of a film. So it's difficult to say that it's art, because art has an author. That's actually what the word auteur means, is author. So the French began to look at films and attribute aspects of the director as the author, because yes, he's not acting. Yes, he's not writing the script. Yes, he's not setting up the technical aspects of the film. He's not doing the editing, but he is assembling those crews. He is giving them direction. He is putting an overall vision together. So the belief from an auteur perspective is that a director has a very specific vision that they want to tell with their works through their films. And that's usually expressed through very common themes. So either this director tells a lot of similar kinds of stories, or through similar techniques. They may use a lot of the same kind of shots. They may use a lot of the same kind of tropes as far as fiction and narrative. But it's basically someone like Tim Burton, who every single film, you know, it's going to have Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter in a gothic fantasy setting. Okay, there's certain things that you can look for and always expect from a Tim Burton movie. Certain things you can look for and always expect from an Alfred Hitchcock movie. Certain things you can look for and always expect from a Christopher Nolan movie. The problem with auteur perspective is that it doesn't really address directors, like we said, like Stanley Kubrick, who do wildly different styles of directing and wildly different kinds of movies every time. So, I mean, you can't really argue that he has a specific vision that he's trying to tell throughout all his movies. But that's just, you know, the nature of the beast. Most people that tend to think of auteur directors tend to think of people that have several very identifiable traits that you can always identify in their movies. All right.
Are you done talking? I'm sorry.
You got dozed off there? Yeah. I thought.
Yeah, it was something about Assassin's Creed, and then I just fell asleep.
That's right.
The dimension-specific tall tale today is being told by our very own Josh Moeller, prop engineer.
And romance director, apparently. He's also received a promotion.
Yes.
Romance director Josh Moeller.
Actually, I want to go back to something that Daniel mentioned, you know, close to the end of the interview there. And it rings very true in the field, especially of indie filmmaking. You know, location. In indie filmmaking, you know, your budget is set, and you cannot build. You really just can't afford to build elaborate sets. So, you know, the best indie sets are found, not made. So you really need to be scouting locations. You know, you have a specific idea, you know, something you want to convey. Don't think about how can I build this. See what's already out there. You know, go talk to people. Find, you know, he was doing this in this rustic mountain town, you know, and he went and found a little rustic mountain town with certain houses that were that fit the age of the house he wanted to use. You know, he started talking to the owners of the house. Oh yeah, you can use my house to film. You know, it's amazing what'll happen if you just ask. You know. But yeah, you just got to get out there and look for what you get a clear vision of what you want. Then start looking around. I mean, we got the internet now. You can search all over the place. I was talking to some of you guys might remember from a previous interview, Patrick Burgess, the when we interviewed him for marketing. Mm-hmm. And I was just talking to him the other day, and he was talking about how you know, in depth Google Earth has gotten. He said he was walking around, you know, clicking and walking down the street in Colorado Springs where he used to live, you know, looking at houses from the freaking front, you know, from the front porch. You know, I've not personally used it for location scouting, but it's probably a really good idea if you're looking for something, you know, within city or urban limits. If you're looking for a wooded location, figure out where some woods are, you know.
Google Woods.
Yeah, Google Woods, exactly, yeah. But yeah, just it's gotta. You probably got some budget for some set design, but it's probably going to be better spent on, you know, props and costume.
That's true.
You can't build the inside of the alien craft from Prometheus on an indie budget. It ain't gonna happen. You know.
And do try to be creative as well. Kind of tying back to what we're talking about with business cards, with networking. This is where it does really come in handy to have your name out there to a lot of people and know lots of different kinds of people, because you don't know what kind of resources they might have available. Actually, our very first music video, Guilty, that was a big issue for us, was determining where we were going to shoot it, what location we were going to use. And we were very fortunate to have a good relationship with a local business that allowed us to use a lease space that they had to set up and actually shoot Guilty for that entire shoot. And we were very thankful for that. And
absolutely.
Yeah, we made sure to give them plenty of appreciation for it.
And they didn't care that we were there till 5 a.m.
Right.
Yeah, really, yeah.
That's the other thing too, guys. If you do use public spaces or property that's owned by someone else, please make sure to, you know, treat with respect. Please make sure to treat the owners with respect and really thank them and do anything you can to show that you show your gratitude for it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Food is good. People usually like food.
It's true.
So just bring them a pizza or something.
Food credits in the movie. Letting know like the thanks go out to.
Yeah, and sticking to your schedule. You know, if you're filming in somebody's home, you know, keep in mind if they're still living there, you know, they need to work and they need to sleep. You can't be there till 5 o'clock in the morning filming all night. You know,
Right, being courteous.
exactly. You know, hey, we'd love to use your home for this. We'll come in at 6. We'll shoot for 3 hours. If we don't have everything, can we come back? So I think that's probably coming to an end here. I'm going to wrap this up a little bit. Check out our description. Click on the links. We'll look for Jared's Attic coming out probably next year. As soon as we know something, we'll post it and let you know where you can find that. Thanks for tuning in. It's Josh Moeller signing off.
Sounds good. Jack Renard, thanks for listening.
Yeah, Lee Griffin, thanks a lot.
Amber Moyer with the new promotion of Steve the Intern.
Steve.
All right, guys. See you later. Again.
Oh, right.
We need a new intern.
Was I supposed to say something?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
when
signing
everyone
off
in the
now.
room
Everyone else
points
is
at you
leaving.
and looks at you and says your name, that tends to mean that we want you to do something.
After
Steve the Intern here. Buy Neil CDs.
Hey,
there
we
we
had
go.
to train him to say that.
Yeah.
Crazy talk.